Giddy up.
A tip of the hat to the Tourneys victor.
Go, go.
And verily I say unto you, if men were but to let...
Hey there. Impressive.
How might I be of service? Truthfully, only a witcher stands to best the beast.
I do what they paid me to do, that's it.
I'm going to save my hands! What's your stone? Say it, roll it, you know this,
Funny thing, I'm off to the hell.
Ah, the tip of the hat to the Tourneys victor.
Go, go. Whoa there, Roach. Faster.
How might I be of service, sir?
Thanks. Gotta get back to my business now. See you soon.
How might I be of service, sir?
Up for a few rounds of Gwent, BB?
Oh, with great pleasure, sir. Ready?
May the best man win.
Do you wish to play against any particular faction, sir?
Not really. You choose.
I congratulate you on your victory. Shall we continue playing?
Maybe later. Got something I need to do right now.
As you wish, sir.
Thanks. Gotta get back to my business now. See you soon.
Yo, bro. So far, I managed to see the view of the statue and return Roach to its stable, to her stable. So now we need to repair our stuff, and then we can go on with our quest. Damn it, where are all the knights? Or after the tourney they just fled. I guess they fled. No matter what, the tourney is well, outcome.
Stocks and the whip await those running riot. Our duchy values peace and quiet.
Geralt, his crest the bridge, master of the melee. Welcome, welcome.
Something new.
What have you got there?
He got too much money on him. Well, we received about 3,000 crowns. Also, we need to repair our stuff. Yeah, these are expenses that await us. Yeah, this is repair, not remove upgrade.
Care for a quick round of Gwent?
Not bad. Urmia. Only the ignorant dismiss the importance of myths. Triggers transformation of all berserker cars on the same row. Right, he already used his hero, so... Svanrige. The Emperor also thought him an accidental king at first. So he can hit a moving target at 200 paces, me too, in a storm.
Monsters,
And I'm back.
wildcats, bandits, trample all, for I come!
Find the chest hidden in the sunflower field. Let's go. Nice way.
Come on.
Well, that was unfortunate. Crap. Okay.
A tip of the hat to the Thorny's victim.
Oh,
A few minutes setback.
Stench.
I haven't thought that ghost can have a scent of their own. Is there a way for a smooth descent? Got a treasure.
like that silver.
Oh, and since you're here, we can read some books and bestiary entries. I'm sorry. Heavy brass key, letter and elegant stationery. Fiste.
A letter and a key. In a
Read-
place like this? Ought to
read-
be interesting.
Read these orders carefully, for I will not tolerate any blunders. Report to the agreed upon location tomorrow and collect the next delivery of seedlings. We must intensify our efforts to infest Vermentino. Be at pains to arrive on time, for the team from the other vineyard will be waiting. P.S. Do not forget the key. C. The so-called giant centipedes are my only comfort in exile. Dearly have I paid for my wrongs, being exiled from the beautiful deserts and steppes of here to this hideous green country where all the scents and flavors are so intense they make me sick, filling my heart with sorrow and regret. My only comfort seems to be a small colony of scolopendros, or more scientifically speaking, scolopendromorphs. I refer to as giant centipedes living in the vicinity of my hut. These wonderful creatures, the sight of which reminds me of home, have most likely chosen this area to settle in because of the presence of shale mares, whose droppings constitute the food of smaller animals, which in turn are consumed by scolopendros. Sometimes I sneak up on them when they are feeding and admire their hooked limbs, mandibles so sturdy they seem made of iron, and chitinous thoraces shiny enough to let one gaze upon one's reflection. The last basilisk of its kind, a study in ecology by Boris de Salvares. Based on my observations, I have concluded all species, be they plant, animal, or even insect, are inextricably intertwined with one another. It is no mere coincidence the felling of the beech woods and the vanishing of the rose, who in them once dwelled, led to the disappearance of the sterling basilisks as well. The principle even holds true to ladybirds. For the betterment of learning, I conducted the following experiment. I eradicated all the aphids in the Pallas cabbage patch, using a lye solution. Within a few weeks, all of the ladybirds once present in that patch, and there were hundreds, migrated to a neighboring field. A simple experiment, yet it gave incontrovertible proof of my hypothesis. History of the fortress of Dontin, as chronicled by Le Papillon. During a visit to the court of the king of Nazaire, Voltharius the Brawny fell madly in love with the king's daughter, the beautiful Hildegund, who was already promised to a prince from Metina. Voltharius, paying no heed to these politically inspired marriage plans, captured the prince's heart, and together they ran off to Toussaint. The prince from Metina, unable to let such an affront pass, followed the star-crossed lovers. Yet Voltharius was renowned for his courage and might, and thus slew his adversary with ease. Then he and his beloved returned to his family estate at Dontin. To his dismay, it turned out his brother, Eusebius, had nearly led the estate to bankruptcy, while Voltharius had been in Nazaire. Voltharius threw his brother into the dungeon and, as befits a self-respecting nobleman, embarked on a nightly expedition. Unfortunately, his young wife, Hildegund, tortured by her solitude, freed Eusebius and became his lover. When Voltharius returned and realized he had been cuckolded, he murdered them both in a fit of passion and despair. Then he sat down and wept and wept and wept. Master Fairman's thoughts on Elven architecture. Nowhere else in the entire world can one find better preserved relics of the glory days of the Aen Seed. Naturally, by the entire world, I, in fact, mean the areas that have entered man's jurisdiction. Toussaint's architecture obviously could not hold a candle to the wonders of Dol Blatana. That is in no way meant to detract from the glory of the ruins of Termes, the old amphitheater of Athec, the one-time summer residence of Toussaint's kings. More than any of these, however, it is the palace which captures one's eye with its torn page. Spacious terraces seemingly enclosed by open-work exedras, with rows of intricate tracery and pinnacles crowned with spiked crockets. One may admire them through legions of ogival windows, the traceries of which are often decorated with the floral ornaments so typically for the culture of Aen Seid. This style is especially prominent in its buttresses and niches. The Civil War in Toussaint. The year 781 marked the final end of the Elven rule in Toussaint, the closing of an era that had lasted over 1,500 years. The elves abandoned their ivory cities and left for the mountains, taking with them all that they could and destroying everything else. Whatever they could not take and did not manage to demolish or burn, they cursed. The last elven sovereign, Divethaf, hundreds of years old, yet fair as youth, was defeated. Weeping over the slain army of his forever young brothers and sisters, he agreed to pay homage to Ludovic, the first human king of Toussaint, who, though young, was as shrunken and ugly as the night after Samhain. Putting on no end of airs and graces, Ludovic boasted, "Look, the proud elf shall bow down before me and kiss my royal feet with humility." To degrade Divethaf even further, Ludovic decided the homage should take place in the elf king's barely abandoned palace. The throne on which Ludovic now boldly lounged bore still smoldering marks from the fire set by the elves, who had sought to burn the whole palace down as they left. So the proud elven king bowed down before the human king and offered him a sacrifice of bread and wine, as well as his sword and shield. Spewing out merciless mockery all the while, Ludovic received this homage, then immediately ordered his guards to drag Divethaf beyond the palace gates and throw him down the stairs as if he were a beggar. Witnesses claimed the proud elf remained calm throughout the whole event, but when left alone, Divethaf wiped the blood off his face and vowed cruel revenge on the king. Revenge that would come from stone as cold as the king's heart. Yet these ominous words bore no fruit, for in the year 782, before the homage was renewed, Divethaf drew his last breath alongside his remaining soldiers when the Toussaintois decided to celebrate the anniversary of the surrender of the elven sovereign with a pogrom of non-humans on the slopes of Mount Gorgon. Few survived. The fall of Hubert Baleste. In the sun-drenched duchy of Toussaint, near the Coronata vineyard, lay the estate of Baronet Hubert Baleste, an honorable knight in the service of Duchess Adamarta. Hubert served as a knight-errant for many years, and vows were his greatest delight. He swore to do things so grand they curdled blood of other knights. The Duchess finally recognized his courage and not only awarded him with an honorary title, but also granted him land. Hubert thus had a place of his own in which to settle down and wait till his time came with dignity. He could find himself a wife and sire descendants as befits every self-respecting hero. Unfortunately, once he had lain down his sword and shield, Baronet Baleste began to seek other diversions, and so he indulged in games of cards and dice, and at times even bet on dog fights. Then one day, when fortune abandoned him, he decided to bet not 1 or 2 gold pouches, but in fact his family's entire estate, and he lost everything. To add to this already unhappy state of affairs, Hubert Baleste, who was not one to take defeat lightly, flew into a fit of blind passion, donned his armor and enlisted at once. Fortune, alas, smiled no more favorably upon him at war than it did at play, for an arrow found its way to Hubert's leg, then he died of gangrene. the wondrous worlds of insectoids a supplement. Let it be known there exists no being more wondrous than the giant centipede. Verily I say unto you, blind is he who fails to see their evolutionary advantage over all other species. After all, is there another creature so perfectly adjusted to living under the ground as well as on top of it? Another being able to pelt through passages invisible to the naked eye and construct stunning subterranean cities? Verily I say unto you, let us bow before the divinity of 1,000 limbs before it is too late. Let us shelter behind the heating thorax, on which the swords of our enemies shall break. Let us bring nourishment for the great mandible. Let us devote ourselves to these wonderful giants, these titanic insectoids, these scolopendromorphs. Let us resemble scalmars, their humble servants who make it possible for this grand species to become even stronger and even greater. Our toil shall be rewarded, I promise you this. Praise the great mandible. Curious customs of the Toussaintois, excerpt. Where have all the heroic and selfless knights gone? Are the truly noble, like Raymond of Gicon or Martinez de la Pec, a thing of the past now? Though they maintain a facade of independence and altruism, the knights errant of Toussaint of our day are paid, and by Duchess herself. So I ask, is that noble? Is that dignified? Should a knight, a noble man after all, receive payment for his heroic deeds? Is he but a mercenary, or, pardon my Nazari, a plowing witcher? Shouldn't the tears of joy of a rescued damsel suffice as a reward? I simply cannot understand it. To paraphrase the weighty words of the wise René de Hospitalier, such fools these Toussaintois. Guide to the Vineyards of Toussaint, Volume 1, the Sans-Retour Valley. While in the stunning Duchy of Toussaint, one should not forget to visit Castel Ravello, whose grapes lend their vibrant flavor to wines such as Everluz, Fiorano, Pomino, and the famous Est. Should wine be one's beverage of choice, I wholeheartedly recommend the excellent offerings of two fiercely competing vineyards, Coronata and Vermentino. If one seeks Beauclair wine popular in the north, one should seek out the Castel Torricella vineyard, which produces and exports it. Unfortunately, a severe economic crisis led to the bankruptcy of several distinguished vineyards, such as Corvo Bianco, known as Guin Serbin in the elder speech, oh, their supreme Sapramento, and Tufo. Let us hope each and every one of them finds a passionate new owner who will restore them to their former glory. Or, well, Geralt is one of them. Now, Kikimores, truths and myths about the insidious insectoids. Observation has shown that Kikimores are the most organized and hierarchical of the post-conjunction insectoids. Their workers follow the orders of warriors. They are all subjects of the queen, which seems to control the behavior of all members of the swarm, even though she remains hidden deep in the ground. Considering the small size of this species, cerebral ganglia, which functions as a brain, one might hypothesize that Kikimores possess a sort of hive mind, making them similar to ants. On hunting basilisks, a compendium. In our lands, that is to say, in the fair Duchy of Toussaint, the hunting of basilisks has a long and storied tradition, one reaching back to the dawn of our present history. Attesting to this is a note written by the Xenon of Tritium, a leather worker, in the year 1023. In it one finds mention of a commission for a corset, to be fastened from a hide of that winged serpent called Basilicus by some. See Vadetto Fiari manuscripts through the ages 1278. While lesser hides could come from beasts felled by age or hunger, the costliness and expense of these corsets would have necessitated the skin of a basilisk taken in its prime, and therefore required a hunt. Without the engagement of a witcher, or, as a last resort, a knight or a mercenary, such a hunt would have perforce meant the gruesome death of the foolhardy hunter. Yet those adept at the task, witchers chief among them, hunted basilisks and their cousins, cockatrices, with great success, thinning their numbers till a mere handful remained. Catechans, a monograph. Before we sink our teeth, so to speak, into our analysis of the Catechan, the creature to whom the present work is dedicated, by way of introduction, let me present to our less experienced readers what exactly vampires are, and what they are not. To our great displeasure, a great many myths concerning these creatures have arisen over the years, and the popular tales about them have served only to make popular superstitions and falsehoods. In the common folk's imagination, vampires are dead men and women arisen from their graves, wraiths driven by an unquenchable thirst for warm blood. Yet nothing could be further from the truth. These creatures first came to be on another world, arriving in ours centuries ago, and have since learned to live among men and have evolved at our side. The widespread belief that vampires must drink human blood in order to survive is flat out wrong, though they do in fact often partake of our vital fluid, for human blood affects their physiology as alcohol does ours. A vampire's bite does not turn its victim into a vampire, a state of affairs which would in fact be counter to logic, but for it would mean the world would soon fill with vampires as they multiply at an exponential rate. Running water presents no barriers to vampires, not even if it is cold, for vampires are immune to the forces of both heat and cold. Now, for the most important matter, vampires have learned to live in the light of our sun, which is not harmful to them in the least, though they absolutely never shimmer or glisten when struck with the sun's rays. Hellhounds, harbingers of the end. Some monsters are born out of necessity, not because they are cruel, but because they have to defend themselves. For them, it is hunt or be hunted. Others are simply a mistake of nature, beasts brought to life by an evolutionary hiccup, so to speak. Both these sorts of monsters we are able to fight, but there are also monsters born of sin. Wherever there is cruelty and envy, wherever earth has been drenched in blood and rocks soaked in suffering, there are hellhounds. There the hellhounds have their home, and as cruelty spreads, so, too, shall these monsters. They are the reflection of us, and to defeat them would mean to defeat ourselves, and all that is left is to wait until we are torn to shreds by hordes of these demonic dogs. The Ducal Chronicle, 2nd Amended Edition. Ducal Chronicle, Tome 56, Lammas Sauvain, 1268, excerpts. 2nd edition, amended. In the month preceding the celebrations surrounding the festival of the Vad, the ducal couple and a delegation of notables embarked on a neighborly visit to the court of Queen Calanthe of Sintra. The visit had both a social and political dimension, for the Duchess was hoping Queen Calanthe would follow the dictates of international protocol and repay with a visit of her own, preferably during the above-mentioned festival, thus gracing the celebration with her royal presence. The ducal couple was accompanied by their daughter, Anarietta. It is worth mentioning here that the infant is sprouting like a beanpole, and it shall not be long before it will be necessary to find her husband. That will surely add to her charms. As for character and imagination, she is not lacking either quality in the least. Gwent, a history. Gwent, for many a diverting game of cards, for others a noble pursuit, for some a crippling addiction which devours their every coin and every waking moment. These last can be found most frequently among the dwarves, the game's inventors and most passionate devotees. Their devotion extends to Gwent's paraphernalia, its cards most of all, which they craft with great care and skill. In fact, cards painted by dwarven masters are often considered miniature works of art. In past times, they devoted equal attention to whittling the clubs which contestants once kept at their sides, to bash each other about the head in the case of an argument. As brawls grew less common, the clubs became implied threats more than used weapons, until eventually falling into disuse and near oblivion. Today, Gwent players can be found almost everywhere, from Skellige Isles, where the game was introduced by the druid Ermia, to the Northern Realms and the Nilfgaardian Empire. In Gwent, the play of card mimics the dueling of two armies. The playing field is divided into two parts, each split into 3 rows. Nearest to the center stand units who fight at close quarters, behind them archers and other such ranged attackers, and furthest back machines and creatures used for siege purposes. Both players wield deck made up of a minimum of 22 cards and a maximum of 10 special cards, and each must also contain a leader card. The player who wins the toss of a coin, originally the dwarf whose wife was the longest beard, plays first. Each player draws at random 10 cards from his deck and then is allowed to redraw 2 of these before the lane of cards begin. Each round is won by the player who has played cards of the greatest value. The first to achieve 2 victorious rounds wins, meaning a maximum 3 rounds are played. The winner's prize is agreed upon the players before each match. Most often, the wager is a bounty of coin or a rare card. The heart of the player's armies, the unit cards, come in 3 types: close combat units, ranged combat units, siege units. Each such card is assigned a strength rating and may additionally possess special abilities. There are also special cards which have no strength rating but instead influence the course of the game in other ways. Unit cards depicting famed heroes not only have unusually high strength ratings but also have the added benefit of ignoring the workings of all special cards. These are the rarest and most coveted of Gwent cards. Most frequently, they must be won from top players or purchased at a great price from collectors. Natural born killers, a study of Garcanes. Garcanes are commonly described as lesser vampires. Do not be misled by this terminology, however, for they are extremely dangerous and devious creatures which men stand no chance of defeating even when greatly outnumbering the beasts. Garcanes possess a highly developed sense of smell. Once they are on your track, you are as good as dead. They have special tastes of adolescents and children, hence the belief that these vampires seek out only virgins. There is a grain of truth in that. It is not a matter of sexual purity, but of the level of blood pollution. The younger and healthier the victim, the tastier a tidbit it makes for a Garcane. Forgotten species, the protoflatter. If you take a flatter and magnify all of its most primitive traits, you will get a protoflatter. This beast, the flatter's distant ancestor, arrived here from a parallel sphere centuries past, yet, unlike the flatter, has remained untouched by any post-conjunction evolutionary processes. In our time, protoflatters are extremely rare, the most suitably adapted flatters having taken over their niche in our biosphere. Protoflatters are thus lesser vampires. Their massive white jaws constitute their main weapons, their sharp claws come in a close second. Similarly to their more developed cousins, protoflatters rely on their instincts rather than intelligence and are quite sensitive to the scent of blood. All the usual means of fighting vampires, such as vampire oil, black blood and silver weapons, apply to them as well. Journal of Research into Archospores. Day 1. I have stumbled upon an extremely curious species, the venomous archospore. So far I have managed to distinguish 3 of its varieties, distinguished by colors: green, the most common, yellow and finally black, which not only exhibit the most aggression but also show the extraordinary ability to pollinate plants near instantaneously. Day 5. My research into archospores continues. I think I have reached the point where observation is no longer enough to bring satisfying results. The species attack mainly using a mandible located in the center of its flower, although when highly threatened, it may also spit toxic fluid. I was also able to discover archospores are particularly sensitive to fire. which may prove a useful piece of information regarding how to neutralize them if necessary. Day 6. I have made up my mind. Tomorrow I shall try to obtain a sample of the fluid. I have already begun preparations. And we have never heard from him again. Alps, Bruxade's dangerous cousins. In the course of my research into Bruxade, I have stumbled upon certain inconsistencies that in no way correspond with what we already know about these dangerous vampires. My investigations have revealed that these seemingly erroneous accounts were in fact describing an Alp, not a Bruxa. It is an extraordinary discovery, a true milestone in the classification of these monsters. Even though legends tell of these vampires turning into pitch-black hounds or venomous toads, personally I do not believe an Alp is capable of such polymorphy. However, it is almost certain that, similarly to a Bruxa, an Alp may transform itself into a beautiful woman. This ability allows the species to blend seamlessly into crowds. To think that I may have passed such a monster completely unawares, fascinating. One of the fundamental differences between Alps and Bruxae is their fighting style when in the form of a vampire. Alps also possess the ability to turn into fog, which allows them to move noiselessly and attack by surprise. Most likely this is the root of the name common folk have given them, fleetlings. Ithlinne's prophecy. Behold, for nigh is time of the sword and axe, the age of the woven blizzard. Nigh is the time of the white frost and white light, the time of madness and disdain, Ted Terad, the final age. The world shall perish amidst ice and be reborn with a new sun, reborn with the elder blood of Hen Iker, of a planted seed, a seed that will not sprout but burst into flames. As Tuat S says, so shall it be. Watch for the signs, and I say unto you what signs they shall be. First the earth will run with the blood of the Ensaid, the blood of the elves. Of fire and stone. Sphere Mundi is divided into 4 elemental planes: the planes of earth, the plane of water, the plane of air, and the plane of fire. Earth and water together form our planet, around which circulates air. Above air stretches the ether, fire, air, or in short, fire. Past fire lie the subtle sidereal heavens, known collectively as firmamentum, which are of a spherical nature. That is where the Eretica Sidera, drifting stars, and Fixa Sidera, fixed stars, reside. The elemental planes are inhabited by creatures which can be summoned by use of magic. They are gnomes, sylphs, salamanders, and ondinates, all of which belong to the category commonly known as elementa, elementum in the singular. Noble Houses of Toussaint, volume 57. Sangreal, alternatively Sangreal, literally royal blood, the legendary line which some trace back to the first lords of the lands now lying in Toussaint and northwestern Haakland. The first mention of Wilhelm the Bold, this line's founder, comes from Elven manuscripts found during reconstruction of the Beauclair Palace in 1095. Since this source, like all things Elven, is unreliable and should not be taken into consideration by historians, the existence of House Sangreal must be considered a mere fable. Salvares or Salvares, D of the Regulus Platinum crest. This line takes its name from Salvar the Lame, who was made a count in the year 1189 by Duchess Caroberta for his service to the ducal throne. What have you... Sangreal? Ah. The D. Salvares line's crest depicts a Regulus Platinum, one of the so-called silver basilisks, whose existence is highly suspect its classification as a species considered erroneous by most zoologists. Torricella of the Two Towers crest, an ancient line whose founders most likely first settled the lands of present-day Tucson around the year 984. They waged fierce wars against the elves until the 6th decade of the 18th century, when all of what now is Tucson fell under human control. A code duello. Finally, let's read it. Nobleman. Presented below is a set of rules for dueling which every self-respecting gentleman should follow. Although their nature is that of an honorable agreement, failure to respect them shall bring infamy and shame to the name of the dueler and exclude him from all respectable social circles. This code applies throughout the whole of the Duchy of Tucson. Course of the duel. The parties present their seconds. Each of the parties is entitled to 1 second. The parties decide whether the duel ends when first blood has been drawn or when one of the parties surrenders. Let it be remembered that in Tucson, by order of Her Enlightened Highness, duels fought till last blood are punished by immediate imprisonment. The challenged party selects the weapons for the duel. The challenger is obliged to accept the choice of the challenged party. The parties duel according to the rules agreed upon. The seconds ensure proper course of the duel. When the duel is over, the seconds announce the winner and the loser. It is strictly forbidden to put forth any claims, blood revenge included, based upon defeat in the duel. The duel is commonly regarded as an instance putting a definite end to the dispute. Slithers through the ages. For many years, it was erroneously believed slithers were simply wyverns in their highest stage of development. One quote-unquote scholar, whose competition of an academic course of study must have been the result of no small miracle, heatedly defended this point of view in a scientific quote-unquote scientific work, whose title I shall mercifully withhold. His main line of reasoning was an absurd and completely off-the-mark parallel drawn between the developmental cycles of the slizard and Pieris brassicae, also known as cabbage butterfly. A slizard, claimed the author, is nothing but a fully mature wyvern that has developed fire glands. Utter rubbish. Let it be known once and for all that Charles von Linné is a filthy fopdoodle and an uneducated knucklehead. A slizard is not by any means the same beast as a wyvern. Fopdoodle. Guide to the Vineyards of Tucson, Volume 2, The Pleasure Valley. For those who find the wines of the Sunset Valley too dull, I strongly recommend the lesser-known but still outstanding brands produced in the Pleasure Valley. Let us start with the amazing Côte de Blessure, produced at the Pomerol Vineyard. I particularly recommend the 1260-1263 vintages, with their distinctively rich flavor. Looking elsewhere, the nearby Nourbaran Castle offers the dry Castel de Neuve, whereas Nouragus and Sancerre, located in the northern parts of Tucson, specialize in red wines and jointly produce and export the wine known in the north as Tucson Red. Exquisite rosé wine could once be found at Casteldaccia, but ever since its owner tragically passed away, the vineyard has fallen into decay. The Ducal Chronicle, 1st edition book. Ducal Chronicle, Tome 56, Lamas, Sauvin, 1268, excerpts. The month preceding the celebrations surrounding the festival of the Vat, the ducal couple and a delegation of notables embarked on a neighborly visit to court of Queen Calanthe of Sintra. The visit had both a social... It seemed that I already read that. We already read that. What the hell, we bought 2 books. I think we want to. Second amended edition and first edition. They probably have some differences, but there are more text here. Well, there is one phrase added here. In the case of the elder daughter, Siana, this should not prove a problem, as suitors will flock from all over the civilized world for the chance to be husband to the future duchess, especially when they see her portrait, which will not even require much embellishment. The tenebrous wilderness of Caed Mirkwood. In the northwestern region of the Duchy of Toussaint, past the Pleasure River, there lies the forest of Caed Mirkwood, a druidic sanctuary which, as the result of treaties signed with the duchy's rulers, enjoys full autonomy in its internal affairs. The forest is one of the main reserves of the Beauclair oak, a significant component of the local cooperage industry. With ecological balance in mind and following agreement between the Coopers Guild and the Flaminica, the leader of the circle, oak felling in the forest is currently subject to strict supervision. In 1267, when the Flaminica granted asylum to Druids from Caed Drue in Angren, fighting broke out with the sanctuary. The bandits who tried to escape justice in the forest were burned alive in wicker hags to set an example. Since then, the borders of Caed Mirkwood have been protected by strong magical barriers, and to be honest, I would not recommend visiting this region without an invitation from the Flaminica. Interesting. Van Groth's amazing anti-fladder stratagem. Fladders are a vile and unsophisticated variety of a vampire. They are unable to run properly, cannot bear direct sunlight, and are generally none too wise. Some fladders hunt alone, whereas others prefer to attack in groups. Perhaps it is a matter of instinct. Having sensed blood, they assess the size of the victim and, if necessary, summon their kin. The only strong suit of these leeches is their ability to leap towards a potential victim. Fighting a fladder is no different than fighting any other of bloodsucker. Apart from the obvious means, such as garlic, buckthorn, and sunlight, a hunter should stock up on silver. A lit torch may prove helpful as well. Me, My Panther and I, by Abigail Lette. As a young adept of the arts of medicine, I was once asked by my mentor, Nurse Hatchet, to gather some herbs needed for poultices. I set out for the woods and sought ripe specimens, when all of a sudden a juniper shrub began to swish and shake. It must be a Leshen or another monster of some sort, enraged by my insolent theft of the forest treasures, I thought. Luckily, it turned out the beast was no Leshen but a little panther. Full of pity, I decided to share the bread and dried meat I brought in my bundle with the cub. From that moment on, I brought the panther something to eat every day, and every day it waited for me next to the juniper. A year passed, and the panther grew so big I was afraid to approach it, so I would just throw bits of meat and leave as quickly as possible. Then a sickness left me bedridden for a month. When I was finally back on my feet, I went to the woods, to the juniper shrub. My beloved panther, now as big as a horse, only roared from afar. I bolted. Panthers are beautiful animals, and they are quite fascinating as well, but I value my life, and that is that. Okay. Adventures of Spiky and a White called Franconi. Once upon a time, in a small mound near the Vermentino vineyard, there lived a White named Franconi. Amiable by nature, he spent his days in the mound, cooking various kinds of soups. Not that he was particularly fond of soups, it was his beloved pet, a barghest named Spiky, that slurped them up greedily, and so they sat there side by side, Franconi the white and Spiky the barghest, cooking soups made of decaying bones, withered weeds, and, if they managed to swipe some metal, nails, their favorite delicacy. One day Franconi heard two grave diggers talk about a certain man of wealth who kept various kinds of cheese in his cellar. A cheese soup sounded like a delectable treat to Franconi, so he snuck into the noble's cellar and stole the biggest cheese wheel there was. When he got home, Franconi started slowly melting the cheese in his favorite pot. The stench was so awful, Spiky ran off and refused to go back to the mound. To add to the already terrible state of things, the smell of cheese permeated everything, so Spiky and Franconi had to pack their things and move. The moral of the story is simple. If you are cooking a cheese soup, make sure the cheese you choose is not blue. Very well. We have new bestiary entries. Giant centipedes. Among the fascinating flora and fauna of the Duchy of Toussaint, one also encounters creatures of the decidedly unpleasant sort, such as giant centipedes. Not only do these beasts look hideous to the eye, they can do colossal damage to the flesh as well. I decidedly advise against them. A visit to Toussaint, one of the many guides authored by Peter Safflace. Giant centipedes are enormous insect-like monsters which can be found in many places in the world, but are particularly common in the lands, or more precisely under the lands, of Toussaint. There they often dwell in close comity with Shelmars, for a sort of monstrous symbiosis has developed between them. Giant centipedes feed on the small creatures which eat Shelmar dung. Hard chitinous armor covers nearly the entire body of a giant centipede. Sticking out from under these carapace are rows of hooked limbs. Giant centipedes are able to burrow into the ground with shocking speed, only to then appear back on the surface in another place. Once they select a target, they will circle it determinedly, trying to get close enough to deliver a blow. They attack primarily with their powerful mandibles, but they also possess glands allowing them to spew acid. The greatest obstacle when fighting giant centipedes is their thick armor, which deflects most blows not only from weapons but also from magical means, such as those dealt by simple spells or witcher signs. When attacked with a weapon, they will often parry the strike, then quickly reply with their own forceful counter. Thus, the best method for fighting them is to catch them in an earden trap, keeping them from protecting themselves with their armor or burrowing into the ground. Insectoid oil and earden. Kikimor warrior. Then the Kikimor princess summoned all her royal sisters and off they went. Together they charged the enemy trying to harm their queen, the Kikimor princess and the mountain giants. Cornelius Briggs' Dwarven Children's Fable fragment. It is unknown how exactly it is Kikimors communicate with each other. Autopsies are hampered by the high toxicity of their subjects. Scholars have established that Kikimors do not seem to possess any detectable oracles. One amateur researcher, Count de Salvares, put forth a theory in his treatise A Microscope Among Monsters, suggesting Kikimors have a highly developed sense of smell and use airborne particles undetectable to humans to transmit information. This theory has yet to be proved or disproved. Kikimor warriors defend their nest from attackers. They attack somewhat slower than Kikimor workers. They are able to spew streams of caustic venom a great distance and leap to attack. This venom is highly unique in that it reacts with a witcher's body to raise the level of his potion toxicity. They are covered with thick, hard armor which easily deflects blows from even the sharpest sword. The Kikimor warriors are protected by swarms of workers which obey their orders until they are themselves eradicated. They are completely immune to the effects of the exit sign, but vulnerable to igni, oils and bombs harming insectoids, and blows dealt by a silver sword. Insectoid oil, white honey, igni. Whites. They say the dead like quiet. I don't know about the dead, but whites certainly do. Heinrich von Groth. Though whites are ghastly and threatening in appearance, one should not approach them with sword drawn or attack them unprovoked. Left alone, they present no serious danger to anyone and are far more interested in mixing noxious brews in cauldrons than in fighting. These species mainly live around ancient burial sites, though they have also been spotted near more recently founded cemeteries and wherever mass graves can be found. White spends the winter months in a state of lethargy very similar to human sleep. They live strictly solitary lives. In fact, it is practically unheard of for these creatures to appear in groups. Yet when they fear their territory is threatened, and it is enough for one to step foot in a white's territory for it to feel threatened, whites transform into dangerous foes and even abandon their solitary ways to summon other monsters to their aid. It is a certainty that if a white finds itself in danger, it will immediately spew out an ectoplasmic solution which near instantaneously transforms into Barghests. These beasts obey the white and attack anyone it deems a foe. If one of them is killed, the white tries to replace it at once. The best strategy for when fighting such a white is to take out the monsters guarding it with the exit sign before attacking the white itself. Whites are resistant to poison, but vulnerable to silver. Necrophage oil and exit. What? Exit? Okay. Relicts. Spriggans. I was gathering berries, as one does this time of year, when suddenly the trees shook and I saw this thing, fragment of a story told by a woman returning from the woods. Spriggans are a subspecies of the monster known as Leshens. One is liable to come across them in inaccessible, unfrequented woodlands. They do not usually attack humans if unprovoked, but when irritated they can be quite fearsome, and as they possess considerable strength, they are capable of doing great damage. Their appetite is such that they can devour more flesh than an army at a wedding. Each Spriggan has mastery over plants and is inextricably tied to them. Thus, if someone destroys greenery in its domain, it immediately comes to punish the disturber. Diminutive bomb, relic oil, and igni. Vampires, Alps. It looked like a Bruxa, but that was no Bruxa. Fragment of a conversation between the Elderman of Falcoen and a Witcher. Alps are vampires that resemble Bruxa in appearance. They are called phantoms by some, a name which fits well enough for the phantoms they haunt and torment men. They usually take on the form of a woman, though they can also appear as animals. They are most often found prowling near villages. They attack at night and are most active when the moon is full. Elf saliva can make one fall asleep, and when applied to a sleeping man can invoke horrible nightmares. Some suggest that they are the cause of legends about men who go to sleep healthy and are found in the morning white as snow, not a drop of blood in their veins. In combat, Alps display supernatural speed and incredible, even by vampire standards, stamina. One must aim one's sword with great precision, for Alps are unequaled in the art of evading blows. The Irden sign is recommended, for it weakens an Alp's defenses. Another strategy is to drink the black blood potion, for Alps suck the blood of their victim to deprive them of strength and regenerate their own powers. Unlike Bruxa, Alps cannot turn into invisible, yet like Bruxa they emit a shrieking noise whose shockwave can incapacitate. Their greatest asset is their agility, and they can live with uncanny lightness that appears to borders on the power of flight. When in human form, they easily blend in with the surrounding community, which makes them very dangerous indeed. Moon dust, vampire oil, black blood, and Irden. Flathers. Wait a bit. The deceased corpse was completely mutilated. All that remained of the nose was a hole clotted with blood. One eye socket had been chewed beyond all recognition. The mandible had been torn off. Seeing this, Sergeant Dovete vomited profusely, and the administration of smelling salts was required. The investigation has been discontinued, and the deed attributed to a supernatural being. Fragment of Toussaint Ducal Guard report. Flathers are classified as lesser vampires, though weaker than the rest of their ilk in every aspect from the physiomagic to the physiognomic. They should not be underestimated, for they are very, very dangerous. Flathers cannot be mistaken for any other creatures with their wide, toothy jaws, flat, unpleasant faces, and completely hairless, often warty bodies. These vampires mainly fight with their teeth and claws, flailing them blindly and not stopping even when their victim is already dead. Even a solitary flather is strong enough to take down a trained soldier. Compared to other vampires, flathers display meager intelligence, seen most clearly in the mindless rage which causes them to try with all their might to attack and tear to shreds any weaker being. When fighting flathers, it is best to take advantage of their particular method of movement. These creatures do not run, but they do try to catch their prey and knock it over by leaping. Knowing this behavior, one can plan the fight appropriately and not let oneself be caught by surprise. They are vulnerable to vampire oil as well as black blood. Vampire oil and black blood. Garcanes. Blood on the ceiling, guts on the walls, must be a Garcane. Jan of Lan Exeter, investigator and captain of the City Watch. Garcanes, like flathers, belong to the class of particularly dangerous vampires, whose strength exceeds even that of fiends. An encounter with one of their number almost always ends in death, which is why there are not many eyewitnesses' accounts of them. From the City Guard reports written up in Lan Exeter describing the attacks committed in that city in 1104 by 3 Garcanes, later killed by a certain Olivier of Gaulet, Witcher, it seems these horrible monsters do not content themselves with drinking the blood of their victims. The investigators concluded from the blood and guts strewn around the crime scenes that Garcanes tear their victims to shreds with great delight and muck about in their bloody entrails. Garcanes belong to the group of creatures known as lesser vampires. They often gather around themselves members of other subspecies of lesser vampires, acting in such situations as leaders of the pack. They are by and large unable to run, but can jump a great distance and often attack their prey in this way. During combat, they usually keep their distance from their foes, trying to incapacitate them using a blast of mental energy, provoking visions that beguile and disorient. Before grappling a Garcane, one should drink the black blood potion and stock up on vampire oil. It should also be remembered that the Samum and Moon Dust bombs are always effective weapons against any mental attacks. Moon Dust, Samum, vampire oil and black blood. Proto-Flathers. Never seen a vampire like that in my life. Geralt of Rivia, Witcher. Proto-Flathers are relatives of Flathers which came from the world of the higher vampires to our own during the conjunction of the spheres. The members of these species are characterized by their considerable strength and agility, as well as the strange glow they emit, a trait most likely tied to their otherworldly nature. Proto-Flathers have never had significant contact with the outside world, having spent their entire time on our planet in the Unseen Elder's Cave, whose atmosphere is very similar to that of their home world. Finally. Although I enjoyed that, because I think that reading literature, especially out loud, is, you know, very useful. Peacock feather. Now I don't need to even accidentally kill any of these peacocks.
Looks like an Archospore killed him.
Never fear, Skellig is here. I think I saw movement on the other shore. It's glowing green, like Tiberium. Some colored guardsman armor.
What do you want? Why don't you all just get off my back?
Whoa, some Florence here. Not a mighty treasure, but still.
They say that to touch such swords as a witcher wears on his back is to lose one's virility. And not even Reginald's jewels can help. What a tale!
Me oh my! A witch fella!
Which fella? Okay, let's continue onwards on this quest.
My legs. I can't. Feel my legs.
Well, that's too bad. Because we won't help you to get to your home. But I've got my suspicions that you can't even remember where it is there. Let's see. Yeah, we can cross, and we can, and on the other hand, we shouldn't. Alright, let's go.
You shan't find anything better in all Toussaint.
Well, probably. Yeah, this is a nice castle there. Much better than Disneyland.
I
can't
placed
pull
the
one
first
over
beat.
on me,
But I
Witcher.
placed
I
the
can
best
see
beat.
like a lady.
Mademoiselle,
You can always get a new one.
monsieur, we must remain calm.
What are they up to?
For 4 generations. That is how long my family has been producing wine.
Producing plonk unfit to drink, you mean? Which is exactly why you should sell Belgat to me, not him.
As a ducal clerk, I must look after the duchy's best interests. Belgard currently belongs to the treasury. The minister of the treasury has clearly expressed his desire that Belgard be handed over to a responsible steward. Yet, diverse troubles beset both your present holdings. Until you resolve them and thus prove yourselves competent, selling Belgard to either of you is out of the question.
Well, Happy? This is your fault!
Mine? You deranged woman! Hark, good folk! Be it known, Matilda de Vermentino is a cursed, spiteful lunatic!
Doesn't look cursed to me. Just really, really angry. Ticked her off quite a bit, you have.
Truly, how would you know? A shrew tamer, are you?
A witcher. So no expert, I guess. But it doesn't take an expert to see when a woman's angry.
Yeah, I suppose you speak the truth, brother. Wait, did you say witcher? Not seeking work, are you? You see, I wish to buy a vineyard. Belgard. Yet that bloody bureaucrat's not likely to sell it to me until I settle my troubles at home, at Coronata.
What kind of troubles we talking about?
It's botched in more ways than one. The herbarium, infested with monsters. My steward, gone missing, with an entire transport of wine. And someone's abducted my herbalist.
A lot of bad luck for one little vineyard.
If you ask me, it's that Matilda, her handiwork. A sugar-sweet face, a temper sharp as horseradish. So will you help?
Sure sounds like work for a witcher. Yeah, I'll help.
I am really, truly grateful. Thank you. My vineyard lies east of here. You're sure to find it. Now forgive me. I must talk to that quill pusher. I might win him over yet.
Psst. You're a witcher, yes? I heard you talking to that oafish ogre Liam. Disgusting man. The worst sort. First, seduces with a dashing gaze, the fair face, then reveals a coal-black heart. But that's all beside the point. I stopped you because I want to buy Belgat too. Alas, things are rotten at my own vineyard, Vermentino.
Strange coincidence.
No coincidence. I am certain Liam's thrown a stick in my spokes. Several sticks. My cooper and blacksmith both have mysteriously vanished. Man-eating plants have sprouted on my paths, and strange things are afoot on Pheasant Hill. The list goes on, but the crux is one. I must solve my problems at Vermentino if I'm to stand any chance of acquiring Belgard. Would you help me before you help Liam? I'm willing to pay more than he's offered you.
So let's help her too, right? We're doing everything for money, after all. Do you have any comments, or I can just push one and that's it? Alright, let's push one, I guess.
I can help. At least try.
Wonderful. You've no idea how much that means to me. My vineyard lies due west. I shall stay here for a time. I must make certain Liam does not pull some stunt while my back is turned.
Gotcha. Farewell.
The guard brings us flogged its writ and brought in chains.
There is no filter here. What? We solved two out of 5 problems? Still, I'm first obliged to help with the Lebioda statue. What a sunrise! Look at that.
The pleasure is all mine, truly.
Why can't Geralt actually buy this vineyard? He has lots of moolah.
You like that silver?
You bitches. This music is as unusual as it fits the terrain. I like it. I mean, this battle music.
Not good. Blood. Lots of it.
Some nice trousers.
Kikimores? Some stench.
It's like they're not interested in fighting. Panzer dog. What the hell is that?
Kikimore eggs. Need to incinerate these to ash. So, missing workers. This is what became of them.
No, 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 I need to loot.
I despise it.
Well, that was a bit cringy. Crap.
Blood!
Some elven ruins. Hans base. You're nearing the base of operation of an outlaw gang known as a Hanse. Be particularly wary and prepare for a tough fight. These bandits are well organized and when attacked might call for help from neighboring camps. To prevent this, keep bandits running this with torches towards signal fires. Your goal is to kill the Hans leader.
Not good.
Yeah, shooting. Okay, loot first, come on.
Lost your nerve?
I really like it. So much to kill. What the hell is that? Well, they have a bit problem. Hey man.
Have to do that, laddie boy.
Who the fuck are you? Where did this guy come from?
Groin gripper.
Oh, they've got some crowns here. Can I loot then fight you guys?
Dance.
Look at how much loot I've got. And here I thought that this hunt's dog was just some kind of, I don't know, magic dog. Or even beast or monster. But in fact, it just went up to lootable content. What's your problem?
My composture is gone. Ruined it.
Pathetic.
I like booms, even smaller ones. Formula, gray armor dye. Look at that. They got lots of loot here. I like that also. Now, since there's something else to loot. Since there is nothing more to loot, let's go to their and pay a visit to their leader. Yeah, exactly. Hans Leader's notes, diagram, Grandmaster flint trousers and flint
Armor
boots.
diagram. Incredibly complicated. Could find a craftsman in town skilled enough to decipher it, though.
They all went off without a hitch. Bartolome de Launay proved a Ponzi fool, just like I thought. Witcher fell right into our trap, too. Put too much stock in his skills, though he thought he could handle anything. At first we acted like bored thugs, just picking our noses and waiting for our pay. When de Launay and the Witcher finally came to terms, the Witcher let slip he was hiding the rest of the diagrams in the pits of Broom. Dangerous place that, but maybe we'll find some safe route to the Witcher's cache. One bolt from the Black took care of de Launay. Expected more trouble from the Witcher, so we hit him with a cool couple. Good thing too, because he still had a good heap of life in him, though he couldn't even get up off his belly. I let the lads check just how much pain a Witcher can stomach. They'd earned a bit of recreation after the fine job they'd done. Then we grabbed the coin of de Launay, and soon we're off to the pits of Brumet to get those precious diagrams and sell for it all we can.
Witcher and armorer. Both had shit luck. Pits of Broom. Strange name for a series of caverns. Should investigate. Wonder if the bandits got the treasure out of the cave.
Organizational chart for Antoine Starling's Dragon's hands. I can't make anything out of it. Master.
I'll diddle you with your own dinkling.
Fisting $300. Homemade pepper vodka, torch, and black magic doll. Can I turn him in? He's alive. Trujillo's armor die. Antoine Starling's Dragon's notes. Diagram to Sun Knight Steel Sword. Signed Ducal Guard Captain's Gauntlets. Taking the Silver Salamander in did a lot to relieve the tense atmosphere. Things had already relaxed a bit in the swamps because a good number of our men went off on assignment, but our Hanses saw hugging huge the ruins of Palace Athach still looked like a bleeding bazaar. A man can't even empty his bowels in privacy. To top it all, my bones ache to high heavens from this humidity, and even wenches can't warm me up properly. Need to look around for something and fast before the good mood from the last raid fades completely and fall get ornery. This time we need to hit something big, thinking more and more about that vineyard in the south, Coronata. It'd do perfectly. We'll send in some scouts, maybe start planning a big job. And I need to straighten out something with the lads. Ever the one of them hits upon the idea of scribbling down memoirs. Regular bloody bunch of literati should take to practicing swordplay or hunting instead of becoming diarists. I keep a log that's enough for the whole lot of us. I'll whip one or two of the harlot's broods, wipe my derriere with their diaries, and maybe the rest will go get down to some honest banditry.
A moment of your time, may I?
Han's reign of terror has ended. You've destroyed the Han's base and killed its leader. Hey, I haven't got enough time to read.
Well, well. Starling Strakenhoff, House Pam Titelt Harlitsbrud has bit the dust. May he rest in pain and agony. You've earned yourself a steep price cut here, Witcher.
Stragon. Name's familiar. Ran into him a while back.
What's this? He must have been a horrible hound shaker. Decent folk don't bear that name.
Can't say if that's true for all the Stragons, but this one sure wasn't decent. Met a bad end, too. Justly so.
You carved up the knob copper. I knew it.
Druids did it for me, actually. Burned him alive.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
Mind taking a glance at these diagrams?
For you, Witcher, I will take two. I regret to say, only a Grandmaster could decipher these scribblings. And a Grandmaster I am not.
Show me what you have on offer, will you?
So I actually did something heroic in pursuit of my loot. How much glory in that? Oh, this guy also doesn't play Gwent. So he's like dead to me. Well, almost. Now we got shop in the swamps. Ah. It seems this guy is not fond of fish tech. Good for him. But at least he's journeyman craftsman.
See you later.
What a story! A lone Witcher against a swarm of those stone stinkers, and he licked them one and all.
Greetings, living legend.
Your humble servant. To serve you and your kin I am prepared. Your humble servant.
Find yourself somewhere.
was healthy.
Fetch this empty dead.
Oh,
spot
dear
here.
fellow, with a fish hook like that, you must have your pick of the ladies. Wine! Any takers? Who wants wine?
Talk to the commander. Yes, Witcher?
A witcher. Whatever.
Holy fuck!
BC. BC.
At your service, Witcher.
Say, do witches eat their cheese before dessert or after?
This question is a trap.
And if I were to put up my wife as surety... Yes? Oh, welcome.
At your service.
Well, will you stay long? Ah, damn it! Watch where you step.
Fool?
The guard brings peace to our domains. Flout its writ and rot in chains.
Careful.
Good folk.
That Gwent will be the
Job
end
is
of
like a
him.
lady. You can always get a new
I've
one.
lost again.
Actually, I was looking for my loot. Thank you very much.
Yes, fight the Hanses to the death. Mine or theirs.
They're dead already. At least their leader is. Oops. Oopsie doopsie. There are more. Come on. Letter to a mother. Darling mother, forgive me for fleeing without saying a word, but you know it, if father learned my intentions, he would sooner break my knees than allow me to leave. You must understand, the life of village scribbler is not for me. I do not want to end up like father, spending my entire life hunched over tomes and slowly losing my eyesight during days and nights spent in dark offices. I want to live a life of adventure. Perhaps one day I'll visit you, my darling mother. Meanwhile, may you know health and happiness. Your loving son, Fabrice. Whoa, now we've got some cool wine here. Where the hell are these remains? No! My loot perished. Okay, so big feet to fill, yes. First off, where's Roach? We need to park it. And out of nowhere, our noble steed, let's go.
Not so fast, Roach.
Auto-run rules. Although I don't know which way Roach is going. Roach, where the hell are we going? I recall that
Hey there.
in training there was something about how to manage routes, but I see that actually Roach does it herself. Oh, there's this bridge.
Not even a draft horse will talk without some carrot to move it.
Is that you?
Let's see if I can't find a way to my own estate.
I do what they pay me to do.
This is not our estate. Well, we already made it to the castle. So we turned somewhere wrong. I cannot do that here. Damn it.
Smell that? Welcome to 2000.
Yeah, I can smell that I went the wrong way. Crap. Yeah, I missed my own estate.
Lifting hand to mouth. Why I stand to put nothing aside from my daughter.
Hey, why can't I speak to him while Geralt is settled? I mean, while Geralt is on the saddle. Now we need to somehow descend faster into our own oblivion. Yay. Our fair noble estate.
Not so fast, Roach.
I don't have any horn. Beep beep, beep beep beep, beep beep. Ah, come on. Thank you, Roach.
Cheap shenanigans. I can't see a thing through these cataracts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've lots to do before it gets dark.
You need to wait a really long while till it gets dark. Because it's noon soon. Bloody die. In the center is our winning armor. I like it. What? I thought that I had some shield. No matter.
Bread at the spring to your step. Wine
I
for
forgot
your head.
She's fit to wed.
Oh, so fit.
Greetings! Good health to you.
Layabouts, monks, sluggards, skivers. Greetings.
Sure, go on. Drink up while you're young, coin in hand. The whole place is rubbed, botched, and wanked.
Hey man.
Witcher.
Oh yeah. Such a serene picture. Fuck the real world, I want to live in Beauclair. In Tucson.
Not even the draft horse will talk without some carrot to move it.
The very cream of the land's sheep has come for the tourney. It's something. Calmarin's well past 50 summers. Yes.
Now I'm singing a song.
Oh, I would fret myself if he should choose me as his lady. Not you alone, for that would show he's got birdseed for brains. Ow!
Sorry. Vermentino Vineyard.
Now, where'd you get them catty things?
This vineyard is in almost sorry state. Can I buy it out too? Oh, Mr. Trader.
Greetings, traveler. Have you any needs?
Yeah, I'm in need of your
Mind if I
coin.
glance at what you got?
Now hand it over. Thank you. Your cooperation will be noted. Oh, by the way,
Mind if I glance at what you got?
do you want some herbs? Perchance. Oh yes, he wants.
So long.
Good luck on the path.
Thank you. Wish us luck on the path. Head left for the statue. Oh, we need to be on this side. I recall that now. This GPS will make me mad. Prophet Lebioda monument. Soon, grand unveiling. Unveiling. The girl will do the honors. Or maybe Duchess?
Damn, lots of them.
You like that?
Not good.
Before we rescue these merchants, I need to loot everything. Look for clues, evidence of their involvement. Lara Doran and Creganen of Laud. Love knows no bounds, the same claims. History knows no better proof of this age than the romance between Lara Doran and Creganen of Laud. She, a powerful elven sage, bearer of the Elder Blood, promised to the great Avala. He, a man mage of great talent and humble birth. She, able to live centuries, if not millennia. He, likely to live no more than 70 years and 10, like each of us. They should have hated each other, scorned each other. Instead, they burned for one another with powerful love. Heedless to the war raging around them, with the condemnations and curses raining down on them from all sides, they led a humble and happy life. Soon Lara was with child. A babe born of Lara and Creganen might have joined the best of both races, united them at long last. Alas, this was not to be. Humans considered Creganen a traitor and a renegade. They demanded he abandon Lara, and when he refused, they decided to murder them both. Creganen died, while Lara, still heavy with child, escaped with her life. She ran to Tretogor to beg succor and support from Sarah, Queen of Redania. What then came to pass? Here, elven and human sources diverge, presenting two irreconcilable versions. According to the chroniclers of the Aeneid, her pleas did not soften the soft, stony Dwan hearts, the hearts of merciless and cruel humans. When Lara, pleading for mercy, if not for her, then at least for her child, clutched on the door of the royal carriage, the queen ordered her maimer to strike with his sword and cut off her fingers. That night, crushed by fierce frost, Lara breathed her last sigh on a hill in the woods, giving birth to a daughter whom she protected with the faded embers of her own warmth. Human legends, however, have Sarah saying, Ask not me for grace, ask instead those whom you have harmed with your magic. Brave you were when you wrought those foul deeds, brave be you now, when the pursuit of justice nears. Your sins are not in my power to forgive. In reply, Lara said, My doom is at hand, but yours, Queen, is also nigh. Remember Lara Doran in that terrible hour, Queen. Remember her death and her curse, and know that my curse will haunt you and your seed, to the 10th generation will it damn your line. Wherein lies the truth, again, it cannot be said. Both versions are surely false, for both seek to blacken their enemy. Sad is Lara's end. The hate between races which Creganen wished so badly to end is now so strong that its darkness has forever obscured the truth of her fate. My hate is for bandits. Can I wave this hand? Glamour. You will be surprised how much one Witcher can carry. But be not afraid, he will carry it for himself. Oh yes. How do I loot that? Oh, there's a silver-plated wine bottle. Toussaint Ducal Guards Officer's Gauntlets. Crafting materials. Corkscrew. Nice, now we have something to open wine with. What did I loot? Come on. Come on, girls. Yeah. I think that this ship is too big for this river. It will Because water line should be too high for that river, and it's not deep enough to withstand such ship. I won't make the same mistake again. I'll do it first, then rescue.
But why even bother? What did they hope to steal? Hammers? A hunk of stone?
I see. All right. High time I set off.
Go see the foreman about your reward.
Ow!
So here's the grand opening with no guests. Nice. And it's sunset. Prophet Lebioda Monument, Sun's Retour Valley.
Can I shoot your crossbow?
No.
Can I do something for you?
Also no.
And verily I say unto you, if men were but to let the prophet Lepiotus' teachings into their hearts, this world would be a more pleasing place. Thus raise your voices with mine. O prophet Lepiota,
Oh, Prophet Lepiota! Oh, Prophet Lepiota!
I swear to live according to thy teaching.
We're the same man! What's your stones?
Foreman Pafnutio.
Helped you finish the statue like you asked.
Master, what would I have done without you? Countless throngs of Lepiotus' followers will praise in prayer.
And you'll pay me, right?
But of course, your reward. The Infesta is a serious man of enterprise. Our plan foresees mass conversions. With the donations that will follow, we aim to recoup the costs of production in 3 to 5 years. Everything has been calculated, you see, down to the last decimal.
Good luck then. Farewell.
Well,
The thing
out with it.
Why I stand to put nothing aside for my doctorate.
Oh! Bye, baby bunting. Papa's gone a hunting.
And if I were to put up my wife as surety.
Alright. In accordance with Article 1161 of the Ducal Code, the Attorney General of the City of Beauclair has designated a reward to be given to whomsoever shall bring before the court one Loth, son of Mark, Elias half-breed, or else provide proof of his passing. Again. Very well, we finished the Bioda statue. Passerby bow before the Bioda. I thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I wish you a good night and until next time. Hope to see you again soon. Good night and see you around. Bye.